So then Sean Connery went up to Michael Bay and said, Michael, I hope you haven't shared that way French, because personally, I think you're a cunt. Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission, until we are cancelled and replaced by something far superior, to review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence, to seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable, to boldly go where every single Star Trek-based YouTube show has gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Treks and Trekkers, and Paraths. I am your host, Captain Goodwill, and joining me, as ever, is the delectable Yeastian from the planet Honk. It's Science Officer Synoiz with special guest Ian. Because we did not think of a rank or alien race for him, so he is just Ian of the Ians.
Misk.
Yeah, the Misk. What race
Misk.
are you? Misk.
Just Misk.
He is Commander Ian of the U.S.S. Ian from the planet Ian, also known as.
Place.
It is a very egotistical place. Yes.
The only plot line is that someone names their child something other than Ian.
The execution is not going to happen.
Well, at least it's not Prince Andrew. How are you, gentlemen, today?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We're both on because of the 24-hour gaming stream that we're doing after this at 9:30, which we are doing for St. Benedict's Hospice. And it's quite fun because obviously, like, Ian has never been on a Trek podcast before, and we watched the episode the other day, and it's like, I think it's a great episode though.
It was a good episode.
It was a good episode.
How are you doing? Are you excited?
I'm excited.
Just generally,
Buzzing.
just.
Oh,
He
You've
looks
got a
at,
zest for life.
so excited. Look at my hair. It's excited.
Well, your hair is very excited.
I have seen people attached to batteries via their nipples less excited than Ian looks right now to be on.
Well, it's funny because that's what I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, that's it. I was just like, maybe pajama bottoms, but no, electrodes.
Electrodes. Well, if you're not having electrodes on your head, you're not really living your best life. But yes, I am back from the United States of America. I don't know why. As soon as the plane touched down at Heathrow, I just looked out the window and just went, fucking England. So
You mean it wasn't amazing getting back? It wasn't like, what was it, the full English experience where you literally get to the airport and then you get to the metro, where you get to the station and you immediately have loads of chavs just destroying your will to live?
No, I nearly died on the M1 coming home.
Oh, wow.
A lorry dumped a load of tree debris on the M1. No one saw it until last minute, and I actually drifted.
Final Destination 2.
Yes, I actually drifted into some discarded tree bits. That I thought, this is how I'm going to go. I thought I was going to die at Vasquez Rocks. No, I'm actually going to die on the M1. So, my life flashed before my eyes, and holy shit, I have really done nothing with it. So, But no, seriously.
The idea is like, oh well, cup of tea,
yes. Thank you so much to Mr. Cartier himself for hosting me last week in the Shuttlepod Show Studio Spa and Dental Clinic in Los Angeles. It was a wonderful time. Thank you so much for, ironically, Enterprise Rental Car for giving me a massive penis extension of an automobile to live my best American life. Doucheville.
Was it a long road getting?
It was a very long road, but I was in a fast car, so it took 20 minutes. So yes, Wheel Will Drift King. Wheel Will was nearly dead Will, so yeah, it was horrifying. The first thing I noticed was there was a BMW SUV braking, and I could tell it was braking hard because the lights were flashing, and I was like, shit, what is it? And then I just saw this like tree. And I braked and I started drifting and I ended up just going over the tree. So the car has got a teeny tiny little bit of damage on it, but I am alive, unfortunately for you guys. And we are here to review the Next Generation episode, The Next Phase.
Which is also about thinking that you're dead, but in a far less dramatic way, I guess. Yeah,
it's a very far now. we have had a lot of season 5 episodes on Trekking Up North from The Next Generation, but on retrospect, season 5 of The Next Generation was a fucking banger of a season, and I would dare say the best season of The Next Generation, because if you go down, right,
Possibly.
so TG season 5, I'm just going to Google this episode list. If you look at the episodes in season 5, right, we had some absolute bangers. So we had The Inner Light, Iborg, we had Unification Part 1 and 2, First Duty, Cause and Effect, Ethics, The Masterpiece Society, Hero Worship, A Matter of Time, The Game. We had Darmok.
Wow. Is that season 5?
That is season 5. This was apex Next Generation as far as I'm concerned.
But how many ghost candles?
None. However,
See, okay, so there's the scales tipped slightly.
However, what we will prove tonight, this afternoon, this morning, for wherever you're viewing this, we will link this episode to season 7 in a very clever way. So stay tuned for that. But also,
you've been bigging this up too much, Goodwill. It's going to be shit.
Shut your beautiful banana-eating face. We will get in to The Next Generation. Hello, David from Nice Canada. Nice Canada? You mean Nice France?
Nice, nice France.
Hello,
Yeah,
hello to Lee. I hope you still got a massive dong. Hello to Beth. Shut up. Hello to Christopher. Have you grown yet? Hello to Becca.
Have you seen what Lee said? Ian should shave the parts where Graham has hair so that when they fuse together, they complete each other's beard.
Oh my god, that is
That
the
would.
ultimate.
It'd be like the Dragon Ball Z,
Do the fusion dance.
Yeah.
Hold on.
but like beard first.
The question is, ladies and gentlemen, where are the Dragon Balls? Hello to Nerdy Up North. Hello to Dave. Who else have we got here? We've got the Velvet Snatch. Don't know who that is. And everyone else who is watching live and recording who are very quiet. Hello, Mother. Yes, I'm back. I am sorry. So,
Is Mother Goodwill watching? Hello,
probably.
Mother Goodwill.
Yeah, don't cry.
Did you enjoy the episode?
Don't cry, Beth. You don't have tear ducts. So the next phase. This is a fantastic episode. We get Romulan conspiracies and secrecy. We get a bit of Ghost, just without Patrick Swayze, so it's better. And we get a lot of acceptance from Ro Laren of death. We get a lot of talk of death in this episode from an ass-kicking ensign who seems to have just resided to the fact that she's dead. But shall we get?
I do quite like it though. Just like, oh well, guess I'm dead then. You know,
Yeah,
it's like, oh okay.
Guess I'm dead. I'm off to bed. Shall we get into the synopsis for this episode, gentlemen?
Yeah, let's do this.
Shall I do
I'm
it?
excited to talk about a Romulan getting pushed into space, which is one of my favourite things in all of
That
Trek.
was hilarious.
I honestly thought you were going to
What's
say
he made
pegging
no noise? He just
Yeah, he didn't scream or anything. He's just like, oh.
in
He
space.
needed the Wilhelm scream at least.
Yes, but in
Missed
space, no one can hear you peg. So, unification, we see that the Enterprise is responding to a distress signal from a Romulan science vessel because the Federation are good and they will even respond to their enemies for help. They get there and they find that the ship is absolutely disabled in space. There has been this massive, huge accident. Some people are dead, some people are injured. They beam over. I think it's Riker. Is it Riker, Worf, Ro?
Riker,
and
Worf,
LaForge?
Roe, and Geordi.
All beam
Data's
over.
not there in the initial.
All beam over to offer assistance. They realise that there is a strange part of the engine that is absolutely fused and kaput, so it needs to be replaced. As Ro and Geordi beam over to the Enterprise with this very suspicious-looking engine part, the transporter chief loses their pattern and boom, gone. And everyone thinks they're dead. And in classic TNG morbid things, we go into the bright, hopeful theme tune.
yeah, we've lost their patterns, and Riker's just like, oh, and then dramatic theme.
Yeah.
Can I just mention though the transporter woman? Like for some reason I really love this transporter woman, and we
She's
never
good,
see her
isn't she?
again.
No.
She's only.
She
You know-
looks like she's shit at her job though.
No, she looks okay. Like all of her kids have grown up, and she joined Starfleet because she was bored.
Sure,
Like
yeah,
it was either that or working in a charity shop, and
Yeah,
then she's
so
just like, oh well.
she took
guess I
early
killed some
retirement.
crewmen.
She took early retirement. The pension, being as it is, because she's in conservative Britain, served her well for about 3 weeks. So then she had to take another job, and then she just ended up murdering people. And then straight away, Beverly's like, "Do you know where they died?" sat there with a candle. But
I just like the idea that my backstory for this character is that actually she fully intended to kill them, and she's actually annoyed that they survived. Like,
Yeah.
but literally, she just gets on, and everyone she teleports dies. And
Engineering.
That's her backstory.
Engineering, can you boost power so I can kill them faster?
Just imagine, just like a transporter serial killer would look like this woman. That's exactly what.
Wow, Criminal Minds would be interesting. So yeah, Raw and LaForge are dead. The Enterprise crew try to. Don't spoil it.
Well, no, it's in about a minute. You're gonna spoil it.
Fucking hell. So yeah, they are dead, and the Enterprise crew try to figure out what happens, all the while trying to save this Romulan ship and its crew. I love this though, that I don't have many notes, but my first note, my first note is super sexy Romulan secrecy stuff, because the Romulans, being the Romulans, are always sus. Even when they're not being sus, they're still sus. They just sit there. They're just like, they're like all the time, just doing this all the time. And we see that although the Enterprise crew are devastated and they're trying to figure out what has happened, we see Ro Laren passed out in a Enterprise corridor. Not for the first time.
Oh, so she's not dead.
Yes, spoilers.
Goodwill. Oh, God. We maintained the illusion for so long.
He thinks he's funny.
Pressure.
He thinks he's so funny. He does. Look at him.
This is all I've got, Goodwill.
Look at him with his head. He's so funny.
With my wipe clean visage.
Oh, if only Zoom had
Oh, no,
picked
do it
that
again.
up.
I'll make a gong noise.
Oh.
Just be like,
There we go. We synced up. I did it. We did the clapper. So yeah, Ro is comes
alive.
Ro is alive, or is she? Because we find her just spewed out on the floor as Picard walks past. Doesn't bat an eyelid because Picard's used to people passing out on the floor all the time.
Yeah, he's not invisible. He's just ignorant.
Yeah, he's French.
I like that she wakes up in a bed called Section 23 Baker, and I'm like, what a weird name for a part of the ship. Like,
well, it's 23B.
Is that what it is? Is that like, what is it? Oh, what's the military code?
Phonetics.
Oh, it's phonetics. Yeah,
Yeah, it's phonetic alphabet. Yeah.
But instead of saying... it's not Bravo, it's Baker, is it?
But because they're American, they can't say beta because they say beta, so she had to say Baker. Because Americans are weird with the language.
Jettison that part of the ship to space. All of the B bits in the ship.
We actually had this out in America because they were like, oh, we took our English language and removed the unnecessary letters because it was cheaper to use the print machine with less letters. I was like, so you took them out because you're stingy.
Yeah.
So
capitalism, eh?
Yeah.
How's that going for you?
We want the word colour, but we don't want to pay for the U. So we fuck the U.
We're gonna bring it back. Amour. It's gonna be color.
Yeah, couleur and honor. And yeah,
I get really confused lately because the new Dune films come out, and it's this idea of them saying Dune, and I'm like,
Dune.
Yeah.
Or they replace it with a nod. They replace it with a nod. Just say done. So yeah, and done too. We weren't done.
It's pronounced Dunay, I believe.
Dunay. Isn't that a chav brand? Tyrone.
Anyway, this episode, Ro's not dead. She's woken up in a baker's shop.
Yes. So she.
I do love it though, where Ro's going around the ship and she's basically looking at everything and she's confused because everyone's ignoring her. It's literally like she's over 30 in a gay bar, and just everyone she's going to is just not paying any attention. And she goes to sickbay and she walks in on Picard and Beverly discussing the fact that she's dead, which is quite good.
So yeah, so she's really angry that people are ignoring her. She's like a British person in an airport. So she goes to see Crusher and Picard, and this is when she realizes that something might not be right because Picard penetrates her as he walks away, and
as if that doesn't happen normally. And I do love though. Before this though, we have Crusher talking about how she dislikes filling in death certificates,
She says,
And I'm just
polishing
like,
her candle.
what doctor does? Like, like a Harold Shipman.
Probably a big part of your job.
Oh
But I
no,
can't-
Rose dead. Lights candle.
It's just like, oh well, this will sort me later. But
Went on
I do love the
Bejo.
idea of what would mirror universe Beverly Crusher be though, where she just loves
brings people to
filling
life.
in death certificates.
She brings people to life just to screw them and then kills them. She's a she.
Wait, no, she actually has a normal sex life. Right, okay. And
So-
reads her mundane grandma's journal.
So I love the little effect, and I put it right in the screen there, where Rose sees that she can she can go through certain objects. Now I had a note about this. Geordie
It doesn't make any sense how she's on the floor, but she's not through other stuff.
Yeah, like why don't you fall through the ground?
Road gets phased through and passes through stuff. Only some stuff, however, even then it's specific stuff. So we see later on that, she phases through a wall, she phases through a monitor, she phases through a desk, but she doesn't phase through a chair, but only specific chairs. And then she can't phase through a helm console because only specific helm. And I'm just like, continuity.
I think it's one of these ones where the episode requires a leap of like faith, like a sort of
It does.
a logical leap to be like, okay, so it has these weird rules that don't make any sense. Although I do love the idea of what if she tried to sit down, immediately fell through the floor, and just we saw her tumble out into space under the Enterprise.
Would you say this episode requires a faith of the heart?
No.
So
it's been a
been a long week. So
but I do quite like it though, where she's watching Crusher fill out the death certificate on the computer, and it's like current status deceased, and it's like as if it's going to get better.
But it does though.
I know it does,
Spoiler.
but it's like spoilers. But I just love the idea that they're like, oh well, it might change. It is Star Trek after all.
Off to meet the great koala. Something I realized this week, thanks to Tiffany, one of our friends at the Shuttle Pod Show, for pointing this out. The episode of Lower Decks with the Great Koala. You know where Boimler dies? And the Great Koala says something?
Yeah.
Play the episode backwards. The Great Koala actually says, "It is not your time yet, Boimler." Yeah.
I love that someone worked that out.
Yeah, well, Trekkies don't have a life. I know because I did a time lapse of me building a Lego NX-01. Oh, this will take a couple of hours, I said to Mark, smiling, confident.
Yeah.
48 hours and 22,000 photos later. Yeah.
Fucking hell. That's
22
2 days of your holiday putting a Lego together.
22,000 photos. Guess who has the honour of assembling 22,000 photos into a time-lapse video? Yeah.
Hold on, is it you?
Yeah, I transferred them to my laptop, and my laptop was just like, dude, seriously? Did
it start bringing up dating profiles? Did it go?
You took me
AI
to
is now
America
installing Tinder.
Yeah, you took me to America to die. But yeah, so we see Geordie in engineering, and we get a great contrast between Geordie and Ro in the scene in engineering, because Geordie, being very analytical, being very scientific and engineering minded, is just trying to figure out what's going on, why people are ignoring him. And Ro's just like, "Hi, Geordie, we're dead." And for me, it's like we get to see it, because we've up until this point we've seen Ro, we've seen ass kicking Ro. She was the proto Kira before we got Kira in DS9. So we've just seen this very militaristic, very insubordinate, very cocksure Ro Laren. In this episode, though, we see a completely different side to the character, which is brilliant, because we see the religious side of Ro Laren, where she's just like, "This is death. This is what I was taught at when I was young. We are dead. We are spirits, and we need to make peace with our friends and family before we can move on to the afterlife." And Geordie's just like, "Yeah, no. There must be a scientific explanation for this. This is shit. I'm going to find out what it is." And Geordie, being Geordie, the greatest engineer in Starfleet, "I need to go to Transporter Room 3. just fucking walks there as the crow
He
flies
just saunter through all that stuff.
through a fucking wall because he is such a good engineer. He's just like, all right, so it's just literally there and just walks through the fucking wall.
Yeah,
That is
I love how we
brilliant.
see Ro having this kind of like sort of adjustment period of going, oh, I can pass through things, and Geordie's like, I wonder if I can go through walls. Immediately does it.
But only some walls, and I would just love it if there was a deleted scene where Geordie's just like, no, I'm not having this. I'll be in the ready room, and it's just straight into the wall, and he just gets knocked flat on his ass because that's not, it's like a game.
Picard's lead-lined office.
It's like a game hitbox where you can transfer through some walls, but then there's just like, oh, you can't go that way because it's like you've got a directly like a fucking hitbox for the character.
It's Picard's fucking panic room. It's like nobody's getting in here. But
Not even you fucking ghosts.
that's it. None of you ghosts. No candles.
It's just candles and French porn. The
but
the armpit hair. But
but I do quite like it though that this distinction between them where we have Geordie seeing everything in a very scientific way and Rose seeing it in a very spiritual way. And where is this in relation to DS9? Like,
so this was 1992. So this was before DS9. So Ro Laren got introduced.
Because DS9 starts when
93.
Next Generation finishes.
No. So DS9. So what happened was DS9 was a mid-season placement in the channel schedule. So DS9 actually started in January 93. So it was midway through season 6 that we got DS9. So season 6 of TNG was midway through season 6 of TNG. That's when season 1 of DS9
Yeah,
started.
we seem to be getting
So
short.
we get Synoiz's titties. So Ro Laren was introduced at the beginning of season 5, and then when DS9 was being penned, obviously it was the goal to have Michelle Forbes move over to DS9. That's why the Kira character is so similar. But there was a issue with Michelle Forbes because she couldn't commit to a more permanent role because she was doing other things outside of Star Trek, so she turned it down, and that's where we got Nana Visitor, which for me was a benefit for everyone involved.
Well, you don't want to be rude and say I'm really glad that didn't happen, but I really am. With Nana Visitor being so fucking good as Kira,
and
it's also the fact of I think the turnaround, because I like the fact that Kira is so spiritual, and I kind of like the idea that this episode could have been seen as the sort of Ro goes from this sort of ass-kicking sort of like, fighter character to actually having a spiritual side. And you could see that would go into the Kira kind of character.
Exactly.
But I kind of like Kira starting off in that kind of balance, where she...
Yeah, because Kira at the beginning of DS9, she's very
untamed.
Untamed and very just like, fuck management. I can do what I want because I'm Kira. And she doesn't mellow over time, but she matures over time and then gains more spirituality, but gains a more leadership way of doing things in terms of being a soldier.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely love. But I love Kira's character, and I love Nana Visitor because Nana Visitor just does not take any shit whatsoever. Which is fucking brilliant, and
I think it's good though that we get this episode is effectively a Ro Laren episode.
Yes.
And it's not so much a Geordie episode, it's more of a Ro Laren episode. And I think that's great that they kind of felt confident enough that they could go, hey, here's a supporting character, and we're going to actually give them like a full episode, and it to work so well. Because Picard is barely in this one. Like Picard's like in 3 scenes, isn't he? I think. He's at the beginning. He's in his office when they're talking to him, and then he's like at the end being like, "Oh, actually, maybe he's been way more than I think." But yeah, I do
actually on the bridge.
Yeah,
they're going to do warp, and they're like, "No."
But ignore me. He's in loads.
They have to jettison the Romulans' warp core, which because they're powered by singularity, can cause an implosion, so it can drag anything in, and then cause massive damage because they just use black holes. Yeah, because Romulans be Romulaning, and they're just like, we just get powered by a black hole.
That's not dangerous at all.
It's not dangerous at all. What could go wrong? But the scene on the Romulan ship where obviously because the transporter's been taken offline, so they use a shuttle to get over to the Romulan ship, and we see this lovely moment between Data and Worf where they're on about the funeral memorial ceremony for Ro and Geordi. And I love Data, and I wanted to give Data a big hug in this episode because he considers Geordi his best friend. And although he can't show emotion, you can sense the loss that he has had for his best friend. And the planning, like, oh well, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna speak, and then he goes to Worf. Maybe we should do something traditional for Ro Laren, and Worf's just like, yes, but the speech is 2 hours long, and Worf just symbolizes every person going to a funeral where they're just like, we're sad, but we're not 2 hours long sad.
Yeah, it's that thing. It's like the buffet better be fucking incredible, basically.
If there is more than quiche vol-au-vents and sausage rolls, okay. If it is just Morrison's quiche vol-au-vents and sausage rolls, just wrap that shit up.
That's it.
Just
We're going to need
wrap it up.
another funeral after this one. That's
Play
basically
Candle
all
in
I'm
the
saying.
Wind, play Candle in the Wind, the Queen killed Diana, and that's it. Just wrap
Speed it up. Speed it up. Do a dance remix of Candle in the Wind.
Much like the Queen did with Diana. Speed it up and just get it over with. So we...
I do quite like, though, that Rose just in the background being like, not the death chance.
It's like,
oh, God.
Yeah, not the death. But when we get to the Romulan ship, talk us through this scene, guys, where we get the establishing shot of just a dude in a chair whilst everyone else is working. Because the first time I ever saw this, right, when I was a wee little nipper, even then, I had a boring adult man, because I would look at that dude and he's just sat there and he's just like... And I was like,
this is the
get
thing,
off
though.
your...
It's the fact of I didn't pick up on it.
No.
Yeah.
Every
Is this
time I
also
watch
the scene
it,
that when it's introduced, LaForge's face is planted inside that.
yeah, he
it's
just
fine.
puts his head like,
Hilarious.
oh,
Yeah.
look, this would kill me normally.
I'm looking at the dude that
Wow,
everyone
this is
else...
amazing.
But everyone else is working round, and this dude's just sat there. And even at like a young kid, I was like, "Get off your fucking ass and work," because he's just sat there like that.
He's the work experience lad.
But we know why. Yeah, but we know why. But even then, he can't be that phased because he's sat on a fucking chair. But yeah, Geordie just sticking his head into a fucking machine is just pure Geordie throughout, because he's just like,
Well, I actually got a bit worried. It's later on in the episode, but it's basically when Geordie is like teasing Data, like being like, "Hey, look, I can put my hand through the table, and you're picking up on it and stuff." When he gets him with the beam, and then his hand becomes solid, I'm like, if you get your fucking hand trapped in a table because you're being a ghosty idiot, just imagine him, I'm trapped in the table, Data. And the whole episode needs to be coordinated around this desk.
he just does a Homer, and he's just stuck with the desk for life, and he's just like, free soda for everyone, but he's just like,
brings
free
it with
isolinia
him.
chips for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, and Data's just watching this desk be pulled across the thing. He's just like, I think we're haunted. Yeah. Trying to drag it onto the turbo lift.
Generations would have a different engine when he's just said, he's like, coolant leak, we need to get out of here.
They all died.
They all died the end. But yeah, I like the twist though, where we do see like they see that there's something suspicious. Like there's like really weird energy signatures. There's a Chronoton energy signature coming on. They don't know what it is, and when they get up and like follow, we just see that there, right there. We just see the Romulan just walk through the table, because this is one of the tables that he can walk through apparently.
Yeah.
Because everything is just like randomly
Some things
selected.
are material.
Something's
Wait, it's one of these
material,
ones where,
some's not.
because it's not in a spiritual basis, we don't get the whole like, oh, well, if they believe that they can stand on it, or if they believe that it's corporeal, then they can do it.
Not
Because
like
it's purely
Windows.
scientist. Yeah, it's like, if you just focus, you can like touch the thing or whatever. In this, it's like, no, some things can be stood on.
But this is the first
Not everything.
time. This is the first time we find some super secret Romulan secrecy stuff, because we see the two officers going on about the interphasic cloak and how they need to hide it from the Federation. And what they do, they plant some sort of mechanism in the Enterprise's warp engine, so when they go to warp, it'll blow up. Now, this is my super nerdy Trek trivia fact that I was alluding to at the beginning of the episode.
Okay.
This episode is linked to the season 7 episode, The Pegasus.
Weird, because that's exactly what the Pegasus is doing.
Because the Pegasus gets trapped in an asteroid because it was experimenting with an interphasing cloak that can pass through solid objects. The Romulans in this episode are experimenting with an interphasic cloak. So
But
this shit is a callback to the season 5 episode, The Next Phase.
Which is kind of crazy because obviously, like, you know, that what happens with the Pegasus happens before Next Generation starts, because obviously it's when Riker's last commission. And it's just this idea of going, and they just sat on that. So you kind of wonder if the Romulans have just nicked that idea.
It was alluded.
You know, they've got enough spies in that they're like, hey, this is an idea.
It was alluded because Geordi references that the Klingons were experimenting with a prototype interphasic cloak, but they couldn't figure out some of the bugs. So maybe Starfleet was going, oh, well, hang on. The Klingons are experimenting with this. This could be a threat. Maybe we should look to do it for our own defense and for our own... that is a violation of the Treaty of Algernon, because the Federation signed the treaty saying that they will not work on cloaking technology. So maybe that's why they did it on the QT, because at the point where the Pegasus was trapped, there was no Romulan contact for a long time since the Enterprise C was blown up. So I love that this is the tiniest little callback that was never mentioned in season 7, but it was something that the Romulans were working on, and then we find out that actually the Federation, the Klingons, and the Romulans were all working on their different types, and they all had issues with it.
I think the most terrifying thing is that it's never brought up again. Like, do we ever get phasic technology, interphasic technology? Like,
no,
ever
because
in Trek?
they can never work out the kinks in it. Maybe we will in the 32nd century because Michael Burnham is God. So
yeah, no, she'll work it out in a fucking day. She'll be like, oh, well.
Will. Yeah, she's like, Miles O'Brien, take a seat.
Oh, look, she's done everything again.
Oh, but... Lee coming in with Peg-a-sis. What you do in Gateshead, son. What you do in Gateshead is your prerogative, but I feel sorry for your sister.
What happens in Gateshead stays in Gateshead.
She's going to need a wheelchair.
Hopefully his sister.
Yeah. Who's your daddy? You are, dumbass. So
Kirky's here. Hello, General Kirky. How
General Kirky. I thought that said General Kinky there, and I was just about to say
General Kinky. Oh.
General Kinky. She's that good. She got promoted. But
one thing I want to say is I want to talk a bit about the Romulan ship and stuff. Yes. And just like, is this the most time we get on a Romulan vessel in all of Trek? Because we never, like, we have whole episodes that are about, like, being on a Klingon ship or being on, like, a Bajoran ship or even a Cardassian ship. But then do we ever get to be on a Romulan ship for a particularly long time?
Deanna Troi.
Oh, fuck, yeah, that's a whole episode. Okay. But aside from that, if that didn't exist, I'd be right. But yeah.
Fucking idiot.
But
I love the fact that Ian is your gatekeeper. And he's just like,
actually,
I'll keep him in check.
No, your facts, you say.
By the end of the episode, there's just going to be an Ian handprint on that beautiful head of yours.
I'm going to look like fucking the ball from Castaway. Wilson.
Wow.
Okay.
That ball has seen some stuff. That's all I'm going to say. I'm sorry, Wilson.
This is my favorite thing about the episode, though, is that if they did a lower decks version of this episode, which would totally be the second contact thing that you would ask later, it's the idea of just like the scene where Rose like opening her heart to Picard and being like, "Oh, thank you for giving me a chance and stuff." What if he just whipped it out? What if he was literally just like going, "Oh well, I'm alone in my ready room."
Yeah, don't say that. Watch it. Say you're spending too much time in this room with an unloaded Picard right now.
Yeah, but because like you just get to see the horrendous way people act. Like Beverly's just gets on the computer and just starts playing solitaire for like an hour. Lights a candle and plays solitaire.
Interphasic, you say, goes into the men's locker room, watches them go. Sorry,
I just love the idea of her just be like, "Oh, thank you so much, Captain. You know,
Beverly Crusher the one who always believed in me." And... Yeah, Beverly Crusher being an actual ghost. But yeah, quick side note: Paramount. Come here, Paramount. I want to talk to you for a minute. Now listen.
Pieces of shit.
Now listen, Paramount. I know you are run by a group of 28-year-old women who just want to marry a rich bloke, and I get that. I appreciate that. You do you. You do you. However, they know nothing about Star Trek. They know nothing about merchandise. And I seriously think that you need medical attention, because if your bright idea, in order to push Paramount Plus and to bring in subscribers, is to cancel shows so they are picked up on other networks, it ain't going to work.
It's a weird strategy, isn't it? It's like, hey,
It's a
how do we
very
get
weird
people onto our
strategy.
platform? How about we give away TV shows?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. Oh, you like season 5 of Star Trek Lower Decks? Oh, good, because it's the last one. Oh, okay.
Oh, people
but
are
we
watching
renewed,
Discovery. Get rid of that.
but we renewed Star Trek: Strange New Worlds for season 4. Yeah, but you're gonna kill it at season 5, aren't you? Yeah, probably, because that's just how we roll. But please subscribe to Paramount Plus. We've got Hang on. We've got what have we got on Paramount Plus, Chloe? Let me have a
Do you
look.
think they have like a BDSM relationship with money or something?
We-
where they
we've-
just,
we've
like,
got-
they just like losing it.
I mean,
Hang
that's
on,
bad for all of us, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm just reading the list of what Paramount Plus offers. Fraser,
Amazon, because it's the only way you can watch it over here.
we,
What's
we,
the deal?
we've-
There's got to be some sort of reason
Yeah.
that it's only stuck behind Amazon over here.
they've got here's the list. They've got Fraser.
Mhm.
So when when
It really is, though. It's the fact of remember when Strange New Worlds finished the season, and I was literally like, "Oh, I don't have a reason to have Paramount Plus anymore because there's nothing on it." So, oh
Yeah.
well, I'll cancel that then. You know, I had to renew my subscription when we started watching the movies because that's not on anything. But I'm like, I could probably go to CX and buy the movies cheaper,
yeah,
like all of the movies for cheaper
that is
than
why I've bought physical media.
subscribing to Paramount for a month.
That is why I have bought physical media, because you never fucking know when these are going to get
Yeah.
taken off.
Anything could vanish at any time.
You know what I had the
Yeah.
other day? I really wanted to watch the Batman trilogy. The what is it? Begins and Dark Knight and
Oh, okay,
Rises.
so
Dark
no
Knight
one-
Rises,
Yeah, I really wanted to watch them, and then was like, oh, they're not on any streaming services anymore.
There'll be an
like,
HBO Max.
oh, I don't.
We can't get it over here.
Oh, can we not? Well,
No.
but then I was like, oh, and then when I was in CX the
HBO,
other day, it was like £1 for the DVD, and I'm like, oh, I'll just spend £3 and have all three of them. They're not Blu-ray, but I was like, okay, I guess we're back to physical media then. Good job, streaming services.
Always go
HBO
for
Max.
physical media.
HBO Max over here is on Now TV, and am I paying any more for Sky?
Oh, let's do that.
You want to watch Sky TV? All right. Do you have surround sound? That's extra. Do you want to watch without ads? That's extra. Do you want better quality video? That's extra. What do I get for my money? So I love that though that the Romulan sneaks aboard the Enterprise on the shuttle, because apparently they can't fall through shuttles, as Ian has pointed out. They just don't fall through fucking decks, and everything is subject to you must believe.
This isn't explained though. How did he sneak on?
By
Because
the
they
shuttle.
must have been able to see him. So did they get
No,
on the
no, no.
shuttle and then he
He's
just hides in a
phased.
cupboard or something?
Yeah, he
Well,
doesn't
yeah,
reveal
that's a
himself
good
until-
idea.
He doesn't reveal
Yeah.
himself
Yeah.
until they're already on the Enterprise.
Are they just going to have a moment where someone opens a locker and he's just like,
How did he?
just hiding
Okay.
in there?
How did he get? Because the shuttle is small. So
Yeah.
how did he get on the shuttle without no one seeing him? He's wearing curtains.
Especially with those shoulder pads. Like, what,
Sticking out.
do you think they just randomly had a unit?
think he
that
just,
was
like,
shaped
phased
like
into
a
a s-
Romulan and he
Yeah.
just stood there?
Do you think he phased into a storage box so all you could see is like one shoulder pad just hanging out?
But I think he just
Like a
lay
Bethesda game, just
inside the
bugged.
console. He just sort of lay down where the console is underneath there.
Oh my god. Hi Tiffany, you poor lady helping me build an NX-01. She's from nice
oh
France.
no, did she have to do that with you?
She's from nice France, so it's okay.
Okay, that's right.
Um,
Acceptable France.
Acceptable
That
France,
was just
yes.
Yeah.
She's from
I
a
think it's
city.
because the blue tacked onto the top of my monitor.
That's probably it.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. There we go.
Yeah.
Speaking of coming, so we see that the Romulan introduces himself to Rolaren, and he's got a disruptor, which again can work because I had it on me when I phased.
Which isn't how science works, but go on.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, I think the scientists were having a day off when this screenplay was written, because it's just like, how does a disruptor work? How does a disruptor work in interphasic space? Mm-hmm.
I think the thing is though, okay, it's like there's loads of like, you know how I complain about like Doctor Who and stuff. Fuck the toys. You know how I complain about like Doctor Who. It's the idea of just going where that never tries to make any kind of sense outside of the context of one episode.
Yeah.
But then like Trek tends to kind of go, hey, there is like a pattern or there is a meaning behind everything. But what it tends to do when we get episodes like this that just go, just trust us, okay? That it works. Just fucking don't think too hard. And it's because it manages to sort of cover it by having a different message in the episode. If the episode was all about the science rather than the religious undertones of it and stuff, and they're talking about death, talking about the Romulans, talking about like grief and whatnot, if it didn't have all of those separate plot lines, then you would be like, how did they get away with this? But I think they just went, look, we just need these things to happen so we can tell a story about grief. Okay.
Yeah. Also, second tangent of the night. I saw an episode of Doctor Who on BBC America when I was channel flipping last week, and
yeah. Was it a tough wank?
We are in a new galaxy, 50 light years away from Earth. That's very close for a galaxy.
Yeah, it's that they don't have a science team. I don't think. Like Star Trek at least has advisors that were missing for this one, but are usually there.
That's like someone
does
asking,
it sound technical?
That's like someone asking, like, would the sun eclipse the moon? And you're like, no, because we'd be dead. Yeah, it's just like
that's something to look forward to. I will say, actually,
light years away. Yeah.
What was it in this one? Where this might be my knowledge. What's a mellicol? Because the Romulan at the beginning is just like, oh, it's up to 15 mellicols, and I'm like, I don't think they're ever mentioned ever again as a unit of measurement in Trek.
It is a unit of measurement, and that is all I am going to say. Because like Paul said today, he said, Goodwill explain the offside rule, and I went, it's a simple rule. So
But like in the chat, is a mellicol a real thing? Someone Google this, because
David, Tiffany, I need the Canadians on this.
That's it, because I was just like, I have never heard this ever again in Trek. Well, and is it just they've just made up a Romulan unit of measurement?
You Canadians measure speed in kilometers per hour like the Europeans, unlike the Americans that measure it in bald eagles per.
They measure it in corpses.
No, it's bald eagles per football, where we measure just in cups of tea per colonized nation. So I never had more tea than I did in America. How ironic is that?
Were they just like, what is that filth they're drinking?
I'm Mark Cartier's official tea drug mule going forward, by the way.
Christopher suggesting that 12 mellicols to a melancholy.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, that's it is literally.
Yeah. So yeah, the fact that the Romulan officer confronts Rolara on the Enterprise, and we start to see the realization that it is actually something to do with this weird technology that's caused them to phase into sort of like, they believe it's like another plane of, I think it's a plane of existence, or phase out of reality, or phase out into another visual spectrum, and they can't do anything until obviously Data deduces what is going on, and we see that Geordi is with Data, and Data is like detecting all these chronoton particles all over the ship where Ro and Geordi have been, and then Data, like you said earlier on, sticks his hand through a table. And then
Geordi puts his hand through a table.
And then Data scans it, and Geordi's like, because obviously his hand's in a fucking table, and it's like phasing back into reality.
But I do quite like it though that basically, Data's scanning the room, and he's like, these particles shouldn't ever appear like randomly. Then it just keeps popping up saying, hey, it's just appeared again. It's another one that appeared again, and Data's just like going, this is most confusing, and everyone else would be like, what the fuck's going on?
Can we just highlight that Synoiz has just said particles, which is a unit of Alan parchments per...
Particles is where you're very thirsty and you're
50 parchments per
on
particle.
particles.
Pieces of
Yes.
thirst.
No,
floating around.
really dry testicles. Particles. Yeah.
A million particles is called Norwich. So the
But I do quite like it though. But basically, data actually sort of it's not a scanner. It's basically like a beam he has to clear up the particles, the chronotron particles, and then when he actually hits Geordie with it, it makes Geordie more solid, which means that he can't phase through the table. He gets him rigid. That's the fan fiction we've always wanted. Goodwill.
Hang on, I'm just gonna use my list of shows that you can watch on Paramount Plus to fan myself. Geordie becomes more.
Why did
solid.
you use such a big piece of paper for such a short fucking list?
Because I got hopes up and then I realised there is nothing there.
You've wasted a tree, Goodwill.
Oh well. Fuck the trees. Talk us through the fight scene between the Romulan and Ro, because this is some good shit. This is some good visual effects and camera trickery.
I mean, the one thing I was commenting on when we were watching it is the idea of like, how did the actors manage to do this? Because like the amount of times when they're literally just acting normally and they have a bloke standing next to them that they have to ignore.
They ignore them quite well, because there's even a bit where Data answers the answer the door to Data.
Yeah.
In LaForge, it's just like and like
runs in front of him.
It's like it's not an effect because he runs around them, but it's the fact that they're holding a conversation without.
Yeah, and Brett Spiner just doesn't even blink when Geordie just runs out in front of him, and
it didn't work so well for Worf that you pointed out.
Well, yeah, there's the one bit with Worf where Worf genuinely seems to be like, and then just get back into character, but he was just like,
for fuck's sake, Dawn.
But it's just like, you don't realize how difficult it must be being an actor. And like, the bits where they have to, like in the original series, where they're just going, hey, just stand still for like ages. And they're like, this is really hard. And then in this with just like, and I think it's quite fun. But
so what they did
is incredible. But the fight scene and the way that they've managed to do it, where all of the panning shots are replicated exactly perfectly so that they can layer them on top of each other and have like Ro running through a room, running through someone. They would have been on a green screen, so they would have literally just been on a green screen studio. So they would have done a pan shot of a certain amount of degrees and said, right, you run this way, we'll pan the camera X amount of degrees, and then Romulan will do the same. And then they overlaid the shot. And then when they did the physical shot, they just rotated the camera the same amount of degrees. But it's the precision, though.
It is.
The fact that this is what confuses me when you get stuff where a machine could do that, but this is like 1992, is it?
Yeah.
1991,
with no budget.
They didn't have the technology to do it. That it would have been a guy doing it, surely. Yeah. And the fact that they get it so on the nose. But then obviously the fight scene with the disruptor that doesn't quite make any sense, if we're perfectly honest, because basically it's like Ro gets shot in the leg by a Romulan disruptor, and the thing that we know about Romulan disruptors is that they only have a kill setting. They probably have a kill setting and a kill more setting, and then in this one she's like, "Ow!"
No, they have
it's been down, I guess.
They have three settings. They have kill harder, and then be a conservative.
It's a fucking
but yeah,
so basically Ro just ends up more conservative, but with a sore leg after this.
I love the fact that she gets shot and they have a massive fight as two people are having a romantic dinner. So if you listen to it in surround sound or with headphones, they're just like and then all you hear in the background going, "This is nice dinner, darling." And they're just like,
I kind of like the idea that maybe this couple can actually see them. They're just
that's their
nice entertainment.
Pay no attention to the Romulan and the Bajoran fighting.
They like gladiator days. That's what they want to see again.
So. Sandra, you knew my fetish. You got a Bajoran and a Romulan to fight to the death as we eat.
I know, get darling. Bodgering after this one.
I tell you. The bulkhead won't be the only thing penetrated, Sandra, but the.
Speaking of the bulkhead, our favourite thing of the episode is probably the whole where like Ro and the Romulan are having a fight and stuff. Ro gets knocked down to the ground. The Romulan's about to shoot her, and then Geordie comes through the door and just immediately just pushes the Romulan into space.
Yeah.
Just with no noise at all.
Drops
Like,
the disruptor.
no
Doesn't fall
scream.
through the floor.
Because
Yeah,
the floor is solid, but the thing keeping them out of space is apparently
there are no
not.
rules.
Yeah.
But I love the idea. It should have been like, you fucker! Just drifting off into space. Go and fuck yourself!
I'll get you next time, Johnny.
I'll get you next time, Roland. That was the Borg that kills her in Picard.
It would be so fucking funny if like she kicks him out into space, and it's just like, you haven't heard the last of me, Roland. But then I just get splattered on another ship going past, and he's just like, yeah, you've not heard the end of me. And it's like,
just goes into the sun. No, what we need to do is we need to do a video. We need to do a video of a Romulan spinning through space, but with sort of ground control to Major Tom playing.
35 years later, and he's just still spinning in space.
How have I not starved to death yet?
Like 35. Yeah.
I like the idea.
Should we do a supercut? Should we do a supercut where we'll put one of us in Romulan makeup, and it's just like 35 years later, and he's just spinning it, and he just goes, "Fucking Romulans." No, fucking Bajorans.
Yeah, Bajoran bastards. Okay, this is the episode I want. What happens to that Romulan?
That needs to be a short trek. It does need to be a short trek. Or like some poor starship is just flying through the sector, and it just splatters on the windshield of the other starship, and they're just, what the hell was that? It appears to be a Romulan, sir. And it's like,
it's definitely something to be in the background of a lower decks, wide shot or something. Just him floating past. But because the problem is though, even when he dies, he will be a corpse. He will just be an out of phase skeleton floating through space forever. Yeah,
floating through someone's living room.
Yeah, that's it. Another ship and just this spectral.
Oh my god! Yeah, because
phased out skeleton
without any resistance,
the shoulder pads,
without any resistance,
and then we find out that Romulan shoulders are actually made of bone. Okay, they're not shoulder pads at all. They're just
until he hits a chair. Once he hits a chair, then he'll just.
Yeah. So here's the pitch. Well, we don't know what type of chair, but here's my pitch for a short trek. Right, it is just this Romulan scientist journey over 35 years. Right, and I would just want to see him right in our eyes, because he's phased, and we know the law of science is an object traveling at a certain speed cannot slow down in space unless met by a resistive force. Right. So let's say he's phased and he can pass through planets. I just want to see some fucking Bolian family having dinner, and then just randomly what happens is, right, I'm going to be a prop for this. Randomly what happens is you just see this corpse just go.
And now the conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. That's the second contact I want to see. Just this Romulan's journey through the Alpha Quadrant.
I want what I'd want is I'd want it from the Romulan side, where they finally found out how to dephase him. Okay, they found him, and they've sort of brought him back and stuff. And the first thing they're like is, okay, he's like, oh, I can't wait to go back to Romulus. And they're like, well, about that, it's been blown up, And he's like, fucking Bajorans! Like he's made peace with Bajorans over 35 years in space, and now he's just like, fuck the Federation.
Or do the thing from Austin Powers where they inform his family. Oh no, who will feed our kids now? And then they seek revenge on Roll Aaron. But yes, hello mother. Yes, I don't have much of a tan. Thank you for pointing that out. It did rain. So they figure out that there's a large amount of chronoton particles, and when there's disruptor fire, the particles build up over 300%, specifically where they've been firing. So they go to the memorial at 10 forward after they've obviously killed an innocent Romulan who's now phased and will spend the rest of his life just floating.
Haven't killed him technically. They've just lessened his chances of not dying.
Your optimism is sickening. So we get to the memorial, and apparently it is a New Orleans memorial because Riker's probably created it all just to play the trombone.
I'm literally, I put a note here being like, Riker playing the fucking trombone again. Like, it must be in his contract. It must be sort of like in sort of Jonathan Frakes' contract of being like, when can I play the trombone in this series?
My
Don't
note,
forget, guys, I can play the trombone.
Yeah, it's just like, can you do other things?
my note for this
I can do
scene.
it, guys.
My note for this scene is Riker playing with his fucking shiny trombone.
And at least this time you mean a musical instrument, which is an improvement.
But just go on.
But I do quite like though that the funeral is just this upbeat kind of thing, and I think it's quite fun. I actually quite like what Data has come up with for an actual funeral for them and stuff. But
Just a New Orleans funeral. Yeah, I like that. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Oh, when Ron Geordie are phased into another reality. You know.
Yeah, that's right up. But and then what happens? Yeah, we've got what's her name? Transporter serial killer. Serial mom in the transporter room.
Transporter Karen, yes.
Yeah, transporter Karen. There we go. And she's basically what's she doing? She's desaturating all of the rooms.
She's decontaminating. Yeah, the decontaminating.
I forgot what I didn't write down what they do. It's like an anion blast or an
aneurysm.
Yeah, she does an aneurysm blast over the room to get rid of the particles. And then what they realize is that basically, if they can get them firing enough of a big enough blast at the room, then it'll basically make them visible again and then put them back into.
So reality. They just open fire. It's like the Danny DeVito thing's like, right, well, I'm going in blast.
Yeah, that's it. So I went in blasting,
And she has to shoot his head. Yeah, she has to shoot his head, doesn't she?
Yeah, I do like it. She's just going around like shooting off the disruptor everywhere, and then just. I'd love it if it actually just killed him. Like if she was like, "Oh, okay."
Moment it's like disactivation. And then...
Riker's head's the only solid thing, and I'm on about.
Yeah.
Right there. There's the image right there.
Yeah, there we go.
But then they realise like they decontaminate, and then they realise that it wasn't enough. So Picard almost orders the jump to Worf because the political situation on another planet is deteriorating, and they need the Enterprise there. So they make the decision to self-destruct the overload the disruptor, because
which didn't fall through the floor when put it down.
It didn't fall through the floor. Good shout, Ian. This is why you're king of the Ians. The
from the planet Ian.
From the planet Ian in the Ian sector, commander of the U.S.S. Ian. Oh, no, it'll be ISS. There we go.
Nice.
The Ian Starship Ian, which is Ian class. Populated by 111 Ians. Why did I say 111? Because they're all I's.
And then every single thing in their world is called an Ian. Like every sort of unit of measurement is an Ian.
They're like sentient Smurfs.
Sounds like my idea of a nightmare, right?
Yeah,
just Ians. The planet.
But
Ian.
the problem is in this world, the only building material they have is Ians. So everything has to be made out of the bones of Ians.
Did you shove the Ian into the Ian? What do you mean? The other Ian or that Ian? No, dipshit. The other Ian.
Did you leave the Ian on? Just everything is Ian.
Sorry,
this is a nightmarish world that we've invented. And it's like Pokemon. Their entire language is comprised of the word Ian.
Did you just Ian your pants?
Yeah.
The
Ian.
Oh no, he Ian'd. So... I'm gonna go to the lavatory and take a big Ian. So
John Malkovich feels.
Yeah, it's literally that scene from John Malkovich being John Malkovich. Ian.
So they realise in order to phase back into reality, up there goes gravity, M&M. They detonate the disruptor beam in order to jump the chronoton field to, I think it's like 3,000%, they say. And then because they see, Data and Picard see the ghost of Ro and Geordie. And I love the fact that Picard just goes, Data, did you see what I see? Because obviously Data's an android. He's just like, am I drunk on Le Bear wine again? Or did I see this? So yeah, he pieces it all together, and he's just like, increase the decontamination field to the highest that they can go, and then we just see two sex phases of LeVar Burton and Michelle Falls, where they're just like collapse onto the floor, hugging each other and making these faces whilst maintaining eye contact. They get phased back into reality from the decontamination, and Geordie immediately just goes, "Was it good enough for you?" And then he's also planning a Roll Laren hologram as he speaks. But
oh, fuck off.
Yeah. But yeah, they get phased back into Ian's like, he's that disgusted at the inappropriate hologram creation he's left trekking up north. He lasted 1 hour and 1 minute. So
it's because his takeaways arrived.
The takeaway has arrived.
He's decided to order his takeaway while we're on the podcast.
That's good.
I've done terrible stuff before.
And no toilet roll, so that's going to be interesting. So,
but I think it's really good though, because what we have it where like Data is slowly piecing it together, because like they're literally like, okay, cool. So purge the purge 10 forward and stuff, and then they do it, and then 5 seconds later she's like, hi, it's gone back up again, and he's like, oh, well, purge it again then, but a bit stronger. And then obviously they set the disruptor off, and then he's like, yeah, something's weird is happening here, so okay, turn it up massively and then do it, and then we get to see them. And then when he sees them, he's like, okay, I get it now, put it up to maximum levels. But it would be good if it just killed everyone. Like, if it just went like, it's not dangerous to humans. I'm like, you have done it at about 3,000%. So,
but not once did Riker stop playing the trombone.
Like, oh, they're alive.
Yeah.
This is all I can do.
Yeah, but this is my one talent, please. 4 years of class for this.
I do like the irony of basically sort of ruining your own funeral by appearing at it and being alive. It's
like, you weren't here. You were invited.
Everyone else is like, oh well.
But I still get the buffet,
I'll
right?
take my gifts back. Well, no, that's a wedding, but I don't know who gives gifts at a funeral.
The rather
Beverly's like, who did we cremate?
There's nobody.
If you're not a ghost, who did I fuck? But Tasha, yeah. But
I do love also where we have the line from Geordie where he's like, yeah, I know I'm not dead because I don't think I would be blind. When dead,
I wouldn't be blind in a uniform. Yeah, and I'm just like, what would you be?
This is the big thing. It's like as a not particularly religious person, these are all the questions I have that I just go, I'm sorry, I'm too logical to be able to accept the idea of an afterlife because there's just too many questions. It's the idea of going like, so what if like your 3 dead wives are there and it's all really confusing? Or what if it's like every animal you've ever owned just like immediately pounces you and you're like, how am I going to afford this? What if there's like ghost capitalism? What if there's currency? What if we end up like being...
These are all valid questions.
Well, they're all valid questions. I love the White Wolf Studios game, the RPG Wraith the Oblivion. They're the people who did Vampire the Masquerade, and they did Wraith the Oblivion, and it didn't do well because it basically goes into all of this and goes, hey, what if the afterlife is actually fucking awful? Like, what if it's actually like here but worse? And you're just like, this is a horrible idea. This is bleak.
That actually sounds pretty good though.
Oh, it's brilliant. Watch lore videos on Wraith the Oblivion. It's amazing, but you would never ever want to play it as it intended.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we're being all philosophical in that. Kind of.
So Roy's quite melancholy at the end of the episode while Geordie is stuffing his fias, because she's under the impression, well, if that wasn't the afterlife, what is there? And she's quite reflective on her religion and stuff like that. And yeah, and again, it's a different side of Roll Laren, and it sort of fleshes her out, which is something I think, really like.
This is the thing. It's like this is the sad thing about Roll Laren as a character is that she never, like, her plot line, her arc is basically that she ends up turning traitor in season 7, Is it season 7 or season 6?
Season 7, the second to last episode.
And it's and she ends up sort of like betraying Starfleet and then going to join the Marquis, and then that and then Picard
did she?
Oh yeah, exactly. But it's the fact that Picard is so incredibly burned by this because he put all of his trust in her and whatnot, and this still happened. And it's this idea, this divide between Picard and Ro that, at the beginning they have a divide, then they get close, and then obviously gets destroyed at the end of Next Generation. But it's the fact that if she had just been able to say the things that she wanted to say to him in this episode, I think their relationship would be a lot different. And so then the message that I get from this episode is about communication, about the idea of, telling people how you feel while they're still around and having your affairs in order because, anything could kind of happen. And the idea of what we expect of other people. So the fact of like Ro is genuinely shocked when Riker is like saying nice things about her. And it's kind of like the Lower Decks episode we did where they're like, oh, I didn't realize that Riker was a nice guy, or I didn't realize that this person liked me or whatever because they hadn't said anything. And and like that, it's about the communication that we don't have until it's too late. Although I do love the fact that Ro opens her heart to like Geordi in this scene talking about philosophy and stuff, and then he just sick burns her. He immediately just goes, "Oh, if we can teach Ro Laren humility, we can do anything." And you're just like, "Fucking hell!" Imagine opening your heart to someone, and someone's like, "Oh, you fucking prick," just like.
So,
and I'm like, "Okay, shady Geordi, fair enough."
So, thoughts on the episode? I think it was a good Ro Laren episode because we got the character fleshed out, which we had done all the way through season 5. A strong season 5 episode, which season 5 was like
isn't saying much because they're
all good. Yeah,
this is like the second to last episode.
It is, yes,
5, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a very strong season 5 episode, but they are all strong. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed rewatching it. I love it when there's a Romulan involved because I think the Romulans needed fleshing out far more, which we have started to get, but still back then. They were still quite mysterious. What are your thoughts on the episode?
Ian?
No, I enjoyed it. It was a good episode. It was nice to see Michelle Forbes in something other than California, which is the only film or thing I've known her from. So when she was in this, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's
but then you explain the whole thing about how she doesn't even last that long in this and ends up being transferred over to Kira.
It's a real shame. Like, it's a bit odd that, like, these gambles that you have to take as an actress, like we had with Denise Crosby, who plays Tasha Yar, where she's like, hey, I'm gonna go and do this thing, and I can't just be tied to Star Trek. And then we're like, that didn't really work out that well. and then we have it with
she was in Pet Sematary, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's it. It's like, oh
yeah,
but and it's a real shame, but these are the gambles that you have to take as an actor, and sort of I respect them for it. But it is the idea of you could have been in one of the like best Star Trek shows if you just hung on,
Michelle Forbes though redeemed herself before obviously Picard season 3 because she was Admiral Kane in Battlestar Galactica, and holy shit, what a character she was. She was absolute perfection. What a bastard. Sorry. But it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah,
I genuinely adored this episode because this is another one of the episodes where for some reason I have a bad memory of it. There's always episodes in Trek where you just go, oh, it's that one, is it? And this is how this one was for me. And then I watched it and I was like, what the fuck am I talking about? This is a brilliant episode. Really but in my head I was like, oh, it's the one where they think they're ghosts,
Yeah.
And yeah, watching it back, it was absolutely fantastic. And the fact that it brings up all of these discussions and it allows us to flesh out the Romulans is really good. And shoulder pads, I'm sorry. I don't care if people think it looks dumb. I don't care if people just go, oh, well, that's like silly 80s, 90s kind of 90s designs. I'm just like, I love the Romulan design of Next Generation because it's just so weird that they just have these massive Dana Scully in space kind of shoulder pads. And it's just... like and I like that the Romulans are just such bastards because we literally have Starfleet helping them out in the beginning, and the the chief science officer and stuff, they're getting on, they're managing to work together and stuff like that, and then they're still like, We have to kill everyone. And it says so much about the Romulans that they're so distrusting and they're so, this technology is so important that they will just kill everybody, like, to keep it a secret. And that says, that single action says more about the Romulans than a whole episode dedicated to them,
Romulans be Romulaning. I think that's the.
It's a shame we never got. It's a shame the most fucking representation past like next generation that we've got of them is that Picard season 1 with the fucking wet Romulan bloke and his sister, which is just
live. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that has been our review of the next phase. However, we are receiving an incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission.
Oh my God! It's my arse. What on earth?
What a delightful arse it is.
What a delightful little arse that is, yes.
How many people slapped your sticker, Goodwill?
Just me.
Oh, God.
But this is just a little segment. This is a little segment called Get Anson Mount onto Due South. Because there needs to be a Due South reboot. Anson Mount needs to be Benton Fraser. So I can call him Anson Mounty.
Was he called Benton Fraser?
Benton Fraser was the Mountie, so I need Anson Mount as Benton Fraser in a Due South reboot. God damn it, whoever owns Due South, get it done. Get Anson Mount just so I can live my dream and just call him Anson Mountie. Anyway,
I call him Anson Mount me, but I'm being hopeful.
But enough about my arse. We are getting another incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission.
Bonk.
Oh my God, the frame needs sorting out because you're too big. Damn you, Zoom. There we go. Next week on Trekking Up North, we are going back in time and we are going to review Star Trek 4, The One about the Whales. That's right. That is the official title, The One with the Whales. Ignore what it says down there. It's not the voyage home.
That's it. Not a real title.
It is the
one with the whales.
It is the one with the whales. Mother, stop complimenting on my ass. The
You made that, Goodwill's mum. You made that ass. Be proud.
Next week. Are we recording next week? I think we are, aren't we?
We have to record because I've got a gig on the Friday, so we're gonna have, but I scheduled it in weeks in advance, and we did. Do we have a guest for this one?
Well, I don't know because I needed to authorise your holidays. But
yeah, sorry, okay. It was like, I don't think we've got a guest for this one. But
I will find a guest. I will go to our Trek family. I will go to our Trek family.
My future, what is it? Mistress Adam is online, which is brilliant. Hi, Adam.
Speaking of whales, have you got something that could hold a whale, Adam? This is a good film. It is some people's greatest film. It is the last of the Genesis trilogy. Sad face. But yes, I will find a guest to come on next week. I'm pretty sure I can go out to our Trek family and go, hey, do you want to review The One with the Whales? And just have a flood of DMs.
Yeah.
All three. So that is next week on Trekking Up North, Star Trek 4, The One with the Whales. However, guys, I am conscious that it is getting to the time where you two have to do your 24-hour charity stream in aid of St. Benedict's. Is it St. Benedict's Hospice?
Yep.
St. Benedict's Hospice, guys.
Based in Sunderland.
Go to the link below because it is down in the link below. St. Benedict's Hospice. Donate everything you have. I, at the moment, have
all of your money.
I literally have £0. In fact, I have negative. Thank you, Overdraft. I have negative pounds at the moment. So if anyone wants to pay me so I can donate to them, please do. Please donate whatever you can to St. Benedict's Hospice. It is a wonderful cause. Fuck cancer. Support these two. And donate whatever you can. Speaking of donations, we are still taking donations for Nina to jump out of a plane and afford a parachute.
Yeah, the donations are for the parachute.
She just wanted to jump out of a plane. We were just like,
Yeah, we were like, okay, well, we need to
I
help
think
with
you need a
the landing,
parachute.
basically.
Yeah. She was like,
Yeah.
I want to jump out of a plane. And she was like, we went, do you have a parachute? And she was like, no. So we were just like, okay, go fund me.
I think
So-
the stretch goal is for me and you to be flown over there with like one of those comedic sort of trampolines. You know, the comedic trampolines that they're running around with on the ground, being like,
Don't mention
Big silver blue one.
yeah.
don't mention yourself the word stretch with Adam in the chat. The
Adam and Lee in the chat. Now,
Definite
that
stretch.
might be a stretch. But yeah, no. So basically, what we're doing is we're doing a 24-hour gaming stream starting from 9:30. So we have about 45 minutes. And basically, yeah, it's on my Twitch. So twitch.tv/Synoiz, Synoiz. And we're going to be playing loads of horror games. But we're going to be starting at 9:30. We're going to be starting with some community games. So get on quickly, and we're going to be playing the typical Jackbox stuff like Quiplash and some Fibbage and stuff like that. Should be quite fun, hopefully a bit offensive. And then we'll be
Beth,
playing
you're not
games through
allowed.
the early hours. And then, yeah, tomorrow we have a full day of it until 9:30 p.m. So we're going to be playing a lot of stuff. We have a lot of little. You can donate a certain amount and you get certain rewards. You can pay money and get us wearing silly hats for a period of time. You can pay money and get us just changing the game or playing something else, like boot up an emulator and play something else for a bit if you want.
What is
But
one
the
of the
idea
other
is
rewards?
raising money for a great cause, which is the hospice that helped out our friend Beth in her final days, final weeks, I guess. But yeah, and it's something that's very close to our hearts, and yeah. Please help out if you can. Spare even a couple of quid. If we can get enough people donating, like a couple of quid or a fiver kind of thing, then that's going to mount up over the course of a day.
Thank you
yeah.
very much, Christopher, for posting the link in the chat. Make sure you all
Hey.
subscribe to Synoiz's channel so you can tune in at 9:30 BST. So God knows what that is in random other time zones.
Bust.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Trekkin Up North. If you like this video, give us a like. If you are not a subscriber to the Nerdy Up North channel, why? Click that subscribe button. Caress the bell.
Tickle
Caress.
the bell.
Tickle
Go on,
that
tickle the bell.
Flick it if you are sadistic.
Flick the
that
bell.
Flick that bell.
Let the bell.
And remember, just £2 a month can keep Goodwill in food. Because I have-
Can get Goodwill out of their overdraft, hopefully.
out of destitution. I am more or less bankrupt at the moment. So please, anything that you can spare after you've donated to Synoiz's and Nina's charities, please give to me because I'm hungry. But
Can
yes,
I just drive past your house and throw fruit at you?
I
Does
demand
that
you
count?
throw a hobnob at me.
Oh my! I'll come around and hobnob you. How does that sound?
Is it chocolate covered or will it be after? So
Ooh.
the
Moving on. Star Trek, the one with the whales. It's gonna take more than one finger, Goodwill. Okay. There we go. It's gonna take a full-on Vulcan salute.
long legs and perspex. I don't even know where
Goodbye.
I'm going with this. Shall we just end the Shall we just end the video?
I think
Yeah.
we're just saying goodbye.
Be sure to tune in next week for Star Trek For the Voyage Home here on Trekkin Up North. Nerdy Up North, I've got a load of things going on, specifically Monsters Up North on Monday. Is it Monday that they're going live? Not live,
It
but
is.
recorded. You don't want to miss that. You do not want to miss that. You don't want to miss anything that we do. We make absolutely loads of videos. Please subscribe. There is something for everyone. But until next week, long legs and perspex. Take care of each other. And as ever, on Trekkin Up North.
Miles?
Miles.
Bye, chat. See you on our stream.
All hell
Miles.
kick off.
Miles.
Miles?